Mirai might have started small in bringing ships into Star Citizen, but with the Guardian are setting their sights on something altogether harder hitting. The new Guardian is a heavy fighter, blending some alien tech with some human firepower, aiming to deliver something a bit different. So, how does the Guardian perform in-game? I'm Forrester, and this video will review the currently flyable Mirai Guardian, which is described on the Star Citizen website as a heavy fighter. If you've seen other ship reviews on this channel, then you'll be right at home with this video following the usual format. It's split into 5 sections, starting with a ship tour, assessing combat performance, reviewing handling and visibility, looking at the operating costs before finally summarizing. As always, I've included timestamps in the video description in case you want to skip ahead. And if you're one of the many people watching who isn't yet subscribed to the channel, you might consider it, so you can be notified of future Star Citizen videos as they go live. And we'll start the tour for the Guardian by approaching from the front, past the scary looking weaponry underneath the wings. Beneath the pilot's chair is a button which allows the pilot to deploy directly into the cockpit. On the starboard side of the lower wing there's access to the storage aboard, and on the port side of the lower wing is a weapons locker. Moving around the ship, some of the thrusters are visible, as well as the Guardian branding. At the rear of the ship is the second entry point. There's also a button which deploys a fuel port access. Entry via the rear of the ship is via an elevator which deploys down. This brings you up into the rearmost section of the Guardian. On either side is some component access hidden behind a button on the wall. There's also an additional weapons locker and a suit locker. There's the button which deploys the elevator. Moving slightly further forward, there's another section which offers engineering type access. There is plenty of component access, as well as an area for relays. There's also an engineering terminal, currently not functional in-game. Moving forward again to the next section, this is the habitation area of the heavy fighter, somewhat unusual for the heavy fighter branding. There's a bed, and beneath it access to the personal storage. There's a small kitchen area and a bathroom. Bathroom comes complete with shower and everything else you might need. And then at the front of the ship is access to the cockpit. The Guardian comes armed with 2 size 5 mounts straddling the cockpit. By default they are M7A laser cannons. With full power to the weapons, the capacitor fires for 15 shots before reloading, but they are powerful shots. For those who've flown the Glaive, the Guardian has a similar feel to how the weapons operate. No complicated gimbals, just point the cannons in the direction of the enemy, pull the trigger, and watch them disintegrate. The downside in patch 4.0 is the need to regularly adjust power when switching out of quantum travel in order to make sure that the weapons, shields and engines all have the power that they need, and in stock loadout, the Guardian doesn't offer enough power to max out them all, so choices need to be made. The Guardian additionally carries a selection of 16 size 2 missiles, which could be upsized up to 4 size 4 missiles. The mounts are on the inside of the forward wings of the ship, which almost feels like the jaws of a predator bristling with teeth. Defensively, the Guardian is protected by a single size 2 shield generator. That's mostly in line with other heavy fighters, but the shields will still fall quickly when taking sustained fire, so it's important to fly the Guardian as a fighter. All in all, it's a satisfying combat platform, performing well against NPCs in fighter-sized craft, for whom the Guardian is a fearsome adversary. The pilot seat in the Guardian is right at the front of the ship and is a bubble canopy, generally offering good visibility all around, with a couple of caveats. Firstly, the front of the wings do creep out ahead of the cockpit, which reduces visibility a little. And then within the bubble there is a circular metallic mount on either side which can get in the way, and the actual roller coaster style seat harness which can also sometimes obstruct the pilot view. That said, the Guardian is often moving too quickly for those to matter. With an SCM speed limiter defaulting to 213 meters per second, boosted to a maximum of 465 meters per second, the Guardian is quick, and that speed makes it dangerous against other fighters. Of note is the way that the alien-style thrusters at the back move, rotating around in their mount, which produces some interesting effects. One downside of this engine power is, however, that it's quite easy to over-G to black out or red out, so carefully modulating turns with power is necessary whilst the human brain catches up with what's going on. In nav modes, the limiter rises to 1125 meters per second, which is quick enough to catch many a ship trying to escape, as well as to potentially retreat the Guardian too, if needs be. The quantum fuel stores and drive are relatively generous, allowing the Guardian to make it across Stanton or a good way into Pyro before a refuel is needed. As a heavy fighter, operating costs for the Guardian are relatively cheap, but not insignificant. Expect repair, refuel and rearming to be in the thousands of Alpha UEC. The main way to recoup those credit costs is through combat contracts, for which the Guardian is well suited. Whether responding to distress calls or dealing with bounties, the Guardian excels at smashing fighters and can rack up the credits doing so. It's arguably possible to do some limited FPS missions or loot goblin runs with this ship, but space is more limited than with other options. Still, the Guardian can more than cover its running costs. One advantage of the Guardian is that it comes with military-grade components as standard, which, in the world of 4.0, is a big plus and reduces the need for upgrades. Perhaps some might swap out the weapons for their own preference, but it's probably not necessary. The main strength of the Guardian sits with the firepower it brings as a hard-hitting heavy fighter in a fairly nimble form factor. It's fun and interesting to fly and rewards smart piloting. It has a fearsome look to it, and the engines at the back feel a bit different, a bit unique. And overall, the Guardian has a definitive style to it that will appeal to many. The bed is a real plus, meaning that the pilot can log out wherever they choose and come back to continue what they started. And the weapons rack and armor shelf mean that, for those who also like to dabble with combat on the ground, there are some storage options aboard. As far as the rest of the internals, whilst the engineer station and the component access may help to future-proof the Guardian, perhaps even offering some limited self-repair options, right now they're not hugely useful. Likewise, there are many ships where having 2 entry and exit points is a significant advantage. In the Guardian, that otherwise useful feature seems a bit less meaningful. So what does the Mirai Guardian cost? Well, as a newly released ship, it's not yet available for purchase with Alpha UEC, and so the price is $230 of real cash. That's expensive. Albeit it's competitive with some other heavy fighters, it's still a lot of money. That said, the Guardian is a strong performer, so for those with big wallets, could be an interesting option. But what do you think of the Mirai Guardian? I look forward to reading your thoughts in the video comments. If you enjoyed this video, you might press the like button to help me understand what videos to make more of in future, and if you're not yet subscribed to the channel, you might like to do that too, so that YouTube knows to show you more videos like this in future. But otherwise, and as always, thank you for watching.